Hello, welcome to SwitchedOn, Paul speaking, and today it's a welcome return to the beautiful game here in the UK. And I know the beautiful game is back in America tomorrow. The gridiron is back on Sunday. But no, here in the UK, it's a return of football, proper football, played with your feet. And it's the Premier League and the Football League is back. So what I thought I'd do today is take the opportunity to showcase some football games on the Switch. Some will be obvious, some not so. So hopefully if I run through a few of the games here, then you will find something that you might like. So first up, we have got one of the Neo Geo releases. And this is Super Strikers. And this is Super Strikers 3. I think there's only Super Strikers and Super Strikers 3 available, not the other versions. Although I think there's I don't know how many was released on the Neo Geo. There's quite a lot. And then I'm sure this series morphed into International Superstar Soccer, which eventually became Pro Evolution Soccer. So this has got like this is the granddaddy of that lineage. I'm sure it is. There's lots of similarities in this one. So this is pretty cheap to pick up. These Neo Geo games are only about £6 on the eShop, about $7. So let's just have a quick look here. We're going to play with England. There's quite a lot of tournaments in that one, as you see there. You've got World Cup, European Cup, Asia Cup, America Cup, African Cup, and so on. You may hear some weird noises today. I'm out in the garden today doing some recording, so you may hear the sounds of nature. So here we go. This is Super SIDEKICKS 3 Neo Geo version on the Switch. It's not too bad actually. I've got the Super Strikers 1 as well, but this third version certainly adds more in terms of sort of fluid gameplay, more modes, a couple of more moves as well, more teams. So if you're gonna pick up one of these Neo Geo releases, I definitely recommend picking up the third version, Super Strikers 3. Don't often go on sale, these Neo Geo games, which is a bit of a shame. If you do see them on sale, definitely pick them up. They're a retro fan's delight. Oh, I thought he was going to score there. It's an arcade game, so it was released in the arcade, and so be prepared for some sort of arcade jank. You know, you're going to get you know, the AI ramp up if they're behind to sort of force you to put more credits in. As usual for these Neo Geo games, you've also got options to access the dip switches, so you can do things like reduce the level of the game. At the minute we're playing level 4 out of 10 skill level, that is. You can sort of change the time of the game. You can change a lot actually with these Neo Geo games. Dip switches, the access to them is really good. Oh, lights out there for England's number 8. Free kick. Oh, see if we can get it in, see if we can score a goal. Oh, he missed an open goal. We're going to score a goal before we move on to the next game. But hopefully you can see here, it's not too bad. As I say, it is arcadey. You've got online leaderboards. You can play locally with a friend. There's no online play with this one. But yeah, take your team through a tournament. Just want to see if I can score a goal before we wrap it up. Being a sort of arcadey game, there is some sort of cheesing you can do as well. If you get into certain positions, you can score goals quite easily. But there you go. So 0-0, and you'd be pumping in more credits in the arcade. You add credits on these Neo Geo games with the left button and the R button to start. So that's that one. The Super Strikers 3, or Super SIDEKICKS 3, sorry, the next glory from Neo Geo. Next up is a personal favourite of mine, and this is New Star Manager from New Star Games, and this will set you back about £15, although it does go on sale regularly. I really enjoy this one. This is a kind of a football manager-y and arcadey type game. You sort of can build up your football club basically here. This is your football club you can build up, and you can add in new facilities which grant you access to, you know, better training and more ability to get transfer players and more attendance, which gets you more money. It's kind of driven with cards. You kind of get cards in the game to use as players, to use as energy, to use for training. It started out on mobile. You can definitely see its mobile roots as you play the game, but there's no microtransactions. If you go up here, these are the cards that I've currently got. So I've got some energy, which I can give to a player to sort of renew their stamina. Treatment for injured players. You can appeal if your player gets sent off. Got 20 contracts here. Oh, sorry, 3 contracts are worth 20 games each that you can apply to players to sort of extend their contract. You can have a meeting with a player to sort of increase their happiness. And I've got a skill card here. I can give a player some more pace. You can buy these cards. You get given them regularly after games and for sort of doing little mini games. These players here are, again, sort of all based on cards. You can kind of drag them around. There is real teams in it, although all the players are fictional. Starting in non-league here, so all the non-league teams: Wrexham, Hartlepool, Brighton Sea, who I am, Orient, Field, Sutton, and so on. And it's a really cool game. So let's go into a match because it's quite unique. It isn't a complete arcade game. It's what kind of happens is you take control when there's a chance. So either a attacking chance, a defending chance, a free kick, a penalty. You'll be sort of chucked in to take over. But until that point, you get this kind of football managery commentary that goes on down the side. Now, when you take over here, you can use the left stick to move your player. And you can trigger sort of player runs off the ball. So let's see if we can move. Let's dribble first. We hold down ZR and use the left stick. We can dribble. You sort of keep playing this game until you lose the ball. So we've got a little move going there. Can we get to it? We don't get to it. You do get a second chance as well. You can press X to retry. You only get to do that once, so you have to be really quite careful. Oh, and I've lost it again straight away. Won it back with a sliding tackle. And they've won it back. So I can risk a long pass here. Let's try a long pass. Into space. And can my striker get on the end of it? And then you have this little mini game to hit the ball in the right spot, and you scored a goal. And then when you see it played back, you see it played back without any of the breaks, or you can replay the game, replay the goal, and see it all back in one sort of fluid motion. But other than that, you're just waiting for these commentaries to play out until you get your chance back. You can see your players' stamina and stuff on the left-hand side there. You can see Muggleton, left back, got very low stamina, and that will affect the amount of chances he gets. They see our assistant manager there suggesting that we sub him out, but we'll wait till half time. So we've got a free kick chance here, so we're just going to knock it around, try and create some space. And what you can do here is I was trying to sneak him in behind the defence. I was trying to make him run off the ball, which you can do with the L button. And Sutton have scored, so it's 1-1. But this is a really good game. If you like football manager games, this is incredibly deep. You're going to get sort of literally hours and hours of gameplay out of this one. See there, we've got our striker making a run off the ball. Oh, it's just going to get to the edge of the pitch. Okay, Muggleton really does need to come off. Who should we bring on? Let's bring on a defender for Muggleton. And what some of the things I like in this is you get some really cool little mini games. Like you can increase your player's happiness, and you get a chance to play like a card matching game where you have to sort of a child's game really, where you get sort of cards with pictures on. They get shuffled up, and you need to pick 2 of the same. If you do that, you win. You know, some happiness back for your player. When it's a transfer, you play kind of a play your cards right sort of game. If you remember that from the 80s. Sort of a higher or lower. You start with one number, I think it's like a shirt, and then you have to guess if the next shirt is going to be higher or lower of a number than the previous one. And at any time you can, each time you get a guess right, the auction goes in your favour. So either the player's contract will get less, or their buy-in price will get less. And at any time you can kind of cash out and you know, not risk going any further, because if you get it wrong then you lose the auction. So it's a really cool little game. Definitely recommend it. As I say, it does go on sale sometimes, so maybe stick it on your wish list if you're not 100% sure, but it certainly comes with my thumbs up anyway. That's New Star Manager from New Star Games. Another quirky sort of management game now, and another game that I recommend highly and have reviewed on the channel, and that is Football Tactics and Glory. This is another quirky little manager game, as I say. More akin to a board game at times. Lots of sort of probably like an RPG system as well for your players. You can upgrade them a lot. They've got skill trees. You can earn XP. Let's get into a match and show you what the match engine is like if you're not sure what this one is. So here we go. Let's get into a match. We're just gonna play this one. Southend. We're playing against Preston in the cup. Now, if you didn't see my review on this, as I say, it's a lot like a board game. You kind of get a set number of moves that you can make during your turn, and then when your turn is over, you sort of give the opposition a go. A lot of it is sort of chance based. There's dice rolls sort of behind the scene, and you can see the numbers that pop up that give you sort of the odds of your move coming off. We lost the ball there, so we now get to move some of our players into different positions. As we're defending, we're just going to drop a few of these back. Opponent's turn. You sort of have to wait and watch the moves play out as they make their way forward. You can just, it's going to be hard to explain. If you want more of a detailed explanation, then probably best to go back and watch the review, but you may see like numbers popping up, and that is sort of the dice rolls in the background that are being made based on the player's stats, the position on the pitch, even the stuff like the weather and the morale of the players all counts. So you can see if we can get up the other end of the pitch. But there's a lot you can do as well. You can get sort of special moves for your players. There's all different sorts of passes that you can do. We've got a special bar at the top there that if a player's got a special move, they can do that. We can do a long lob pass here, and you can see the player's ability. So Burl, who's kicking it, has got a 5 ability, and Groves has got 110 for his sort of control. So you've got to be really careful. It's very, as it says in the title, it's very much a game of tactics, sort of taking it steady, trying to work your way into an attack. Let's just see if we can pop a shot off here. Now you can see our player Groves has got 12 for shooting. The defenders there in the red zones have got 67 and 48 for defending. The keeper's got 78, so he's good at goalkeeping. So the odds are that this shot is going to go nowhere near. We're going to take it anyway to see what happens. Hits the defender and rolls to safety. But if you want something a little bit different, that's not all out action, and you like sort of tactical board games and turn-based games, go and check my review out of Football Tactics and Glory. It's a really cool game. Again, another one of these games, a bit like New Star Manager. Loads of depth, loads of gameplay. Can play absolutely hundreds of hours and build up the team. You know, build up your own team. You've got transfers, training, youth teams. So there's loads and loads to do. Really recommend it. It's Football Tactics and Glory from Creo Team, and it's on the eShop. And I think it's £34.99, £35.99, something like that. But again, one that goes on sale every now and again, so keep an eye out for that. Next up, we've got Active Soccer 2019 from Fox Software. This came out, as the title might suggest, last year. Cost you £9 on the eShop. It's kind of like a sensible soccer pretender if you've played that game before. It's just not quite there for me. It's got a lot of good data, so let's just set up a friendly here. So we've got club teams and international teams, European teams, England. We've got Premier League, Championship, League 1 and 2, Conference. Let's go for my beloved Southend again. So you can see there's a lot of effort gone in. The player names aren't real, so there's like sort of misspelt names, like a bit of old school misspelling of players' names. But yeah, at least the teams are in, the kits are in, which is cool. You can change a lot of the tactics and stuff there. You can set all the different kit colours, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of good here, but it's just the actual gameplay isn't quite of the standard of sensible soccer. It just feels a little bit sluggish, It hasn't got that sort of free-flowing gameplay that Sensible Soccer had, which is a shame because it's like so close. Just with a few tweaks, it really would have been, you know, it could have been a pretender. It's perfect for the sort of Switch, and it could have been a pretender to the Sensible crown. But just to show you some gameplay here, so, oh, goal down straight away. Some of the things that are different to Sensible is we've got multiple buttons, which I think when people try to make Sensible Soccer clones, they kind of miss the point of, you know, how good Sensible Soccer was on the Amiga with one button. You know, you could, it's one of the most playable football games ever made in the history of the game. It's one of my top 3 all-time games, you know, in the last sort of 30 years of gaming. It's that good, and people still can't take the formula. Even, to be fair, even the guys that made it, John Hare was the guy that made Sensible Soccer. He's now moved on, and he currently is working on a very similar game called Sociable Soccer, which was meant to launch on all platforms, including the Switch, but due to some strange deal they did, it was only released in China on some platforms, and will be coming to other devices later in the year, apparently, but at the moment you can only get it on Apple Arcade. But yeah, sorry, to go back to the point, even Sociable Soccer, the guy that made Sensible Soccer, even he can't get close to the original gameplay. Sociable Soccer's okay, I've played it, but it's again not the same as Sensi. So that's that game. This is this one. It's not too bad for the price. It's a budget game. Oh, sneaking in a goal there. The old going out wide and curling it in. So there is that from Sensible. It's a little bit slow and sluggish, as I say. You've got B button for passing, A for shooting, A for long pass, sorry, Y for shooting, and Y for slide tackles. One of the issues is, when I reviewed this originally, it had this weird issue where players would sort of run into each other and then just kind of stop, and that's what really makes the game not feel fluid. And it was one of my complaints at the time, and I really hoped over time they would kind of patch it, because it would seem such an easy thing to fix. But if you sort of notice in this gameplay, when I run into another player, the players sort of come together, and then you feel like you lose control for a second, or you just don't have control of the player. It just stops dead, and that just really gives it a feeling of sluggishness. So it's unfortunate. It's not a bad game if you see it on a even cheaper sale than the sort of price it is at the moment, even though it is a budget game. Maybe consider it. There is quite a lot to it. It has got a career mode, lots of different cups and leagues and different competitions and stuff that you can play, so it has got the content, but yeah, it's just not one that I particularly enjoy playing too much. But that's Active Soccer 2019. Right, let's stop mucking around now and bring out one of the big guns, and that is Football Manager Touch 20 on the Switch. Comes from Sega, and this will set you back £30 on the eShop. Now, it's going to be a weird weekend for so many people today. We'd usually be heading off to the grounds to watch the games live, but obviously with the current situation in the world, this is going to be the first time that, pretty much 100% of football fans are lining up for the first weekend all at home, and we'll be listening to the radios or watching on the streaming services that we've been allowed to use for the games. And if you're anything like me, you're probably going to be watching the game of your team today and maybe playing a little bit of Football Manager at the same time. Now, Football Manager 20 Touch on the Switch is an absolutely superb game. Again, I'll leave a link to my review in the description below. But it really is. The touch version of Football Manager, you can get it on the PC as well, is kind of a watered down version of the full fat Football Manager. But it's just got a couple of bits that they've sort of skimmed off just to make the experience a little bit easier to play and a little bit quicker to play. So there's things like no press conferences, no player meetings, a couple of other things as well that they've trimmed off. But essentially it is the sort of full Football Manager experience. I think the Switch versions are absolutely brilliant. The fact that the Switch is the only console that allows you to play Football Manager, if you don't count the Stadia service as a console, because it is on there as well. But you can't get this on Xbox or PlayStation. And it just, I think it controls superbly with a controller. You've got hotkeys to help you get around the screens quicker. Once you learn those, it becomes a breeze. You've also got like a mouse pointer that you can use as well if you're used to that. I've not tried an actual mouse. Might be a good idea to try a mouse or keyboard USB version. I'm sure that would probably work as well. But yeah, really good game. It runs pretty quickly. You can see the match engine here runs really nicely. You can sort of speed this up. You can also turn the match engine off or have the overhead dots that sort of were bought in a few years ago into Football Manager, but you can use this full 3D engine, and it's really immersive. You can really have you out of your seat at times when your striker's through on goal and misses the chance. What I like as well is a lot of it's a lot of unique plays. It seems to be. I don't know if they're sort of made up on the fly, but they're certainly not pre-baked. I've played hundreds of hours of 19 and 20, and you rarely see the same sort of passage of play twice, rarely see the same goal twice, and it's just excellent. There's my team take the lead there. Macaulay Bonne picking up a goal. So yeah, it's if you know Football Manager, especially if you're British or English, you're going to know Football Manager, the amount of hours that you lose to it, the amount of relationships that have been lost due to Football Manager. And it's just one of those games that you can put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into. You can start off at practically any team in the world. Try and get them into Europe over, a number of years, 10 years, 20 years. People play just to simulate the games and see what happens. So it's a brilliant game. The only thing I would say, a couple of down points. People obviously don't like the controller. That's going to be personal choice. The Switch version, I believe, like the PC version, doesn't have Premier League licensing, so sort of the Premier League teams don't have the proper kits and no sort of player portrait pictures. And of course, being the Switch, unlike the PC, you can't mod this game. So on the PC, that's not such a major problem because there's people that make patches that can replace all those things, but on the Switch, obviously you can't. So if you can't live without sort of the official kits and sort of player profile pictures, then maybe have a little rethink. But all the other leagues have got them, like the leagues that I'm in now, the Championship, we've got the proper kits and player pictures. So it's just the Premier League that unfortunately hasn't got that licensing. But I think it's an absolutely excellent game. Both the versions, although 19's now been taken off the eShop, you can only get the 20 version. It never did get a physical release, I don't think, either. So eShop's the only way you're going to go. But absolutely brilliant game. Absolutely get it if you're a football fan. You can just waste hours and hours to it, as I say, and highly recommended. Football Manager Touch 20. Next up is a small game, Super Soccer Blast. This came out a few months ago. Again, had a look at it on the channel before. Leave a link below. This one again is a kind of a take on Sensible Soccer-ish. I'm not sure again if it completely lands it, to be honest. Probably slightly better than Active Soccer. Let's have a quick little play of the gameplay of this one. So we're trying to take that kind of Sensible Soccer feel into a SIDEKICKS game. It's not the worst in the world. It did have a couple of problems at the start when I first played it. I know it's been patched a couple of times, and the developer was aware of a few bugs that he was looking on fixing. But yeah, it's on sale this weekend, or at the moment anyway. Quite surprised more football games aren't at the moment, but this one's available for $5.75. See, the graphics are quite nice. Got kind of a cartoony little edge to them, but the stadiums are nice. So if you're looking for something a little bit more in the budget realm, and you've played all the other football games, you could probably do a lot worse. And pick this one up, see if we can get a shot off before. Oh, it's going to come back to us. No, I'm not going to get it. Probably a good one for local multiplayer, maybe. But yeah, just wanted to give you a quick view of some of the little games, and it's Super Soccer Blast on the Nintendo Switch. So we've got to the point where probably everyone's going to tune out now, unfortunately, but like it or not, the best football game on the Nintendo Switch is still FIFA 20. Even though it was just basically a squad upgrade from FIFA 19, which, you know, depending how much you hate EA Sports, will probably depend how many people bought this one. It isn't ideal. It's not great that they do that kind of thing, and you know, if you're thinking that FIFA 21 on the Switch is going to be any different, you're sadly wrong. It's just going to be another kit upgrade again. But as I say, at the end of the day, it is the best football game around. It's, you know, like it or lump it on their sort of business model. If you just take it in isolation, it's an absolutely incredible game. It's 60 frames a second. It's got a lot of the modes from the main console versions. You know, you've got Ultimate Team. Ooh. You've got online play. You've got career mode. So, I think, to be honest, criticism aside, I think they've done an absolutely incredible job getting FIFA onto the Switch. And, you know, I would rather have it on here. I would rather have the choice whether to buy it or not than them just not make it completely. I mean, you ask American football fans if they want Madden on the Switch. You ask, you know, hockey fans if they want NHL on the Switch. Of course they do. They want that choice. And they may not like the game. They may moan about it. But it's better than, you know, not being on here at all and just being ignored. And I mean, personally, I would love Madden on the Switch. I don't know why it isn't. You know, we've got Madden on mobile. And, you know, if they put that version on the Switch, it would still sell well. But we're talking about football. As I say, it's got all the modes. It's got really good control. You've got local multiplayer games as well. You've got easy modes. You've got sort of 1-button and 2-button mode as well. If you're playing with sort of younger children maybe, or people that aren't used to playing football games. And you've got that sort of accessibility. The graphics aren't quite as good as the console versions in terms of sort of player models and faces and that kind of thing. But it's still, sometimes I just marvel at just how nice this game is. You know, it's running on a tablet and it's just running absolutely stunningly. As we try and get a little lob. Oh! So yeah, it's a game I put so many hours into FIFA 19. It's how I actually started SwitchedOn a couple of years ago, was by streaming FIFA 19 footage of a career mode and build it from there. And I put about, you know, 100 hours into FIFA 19, and I did pay for this. I did buy this FIFA 20 myself. I didn't get a code or anything. I just haven't played it as much as I wanted to, because I also got it on PlayStation 4. And, you know, if you've got a choice of PlayStation 4 or Switch in the same room, you're going to play it on the PlayStation 4. So it just hasn't had the play that I got out of FIFA 19. But it's still an absolutely incredible game. If you've got access to another console, or you want to play football on the move, then you just need FIFA, really. In your life. And this is going to be the same case as I say with FIFA 21. That'll be out in a few weeks. I think it's out at the start of October. There is going to be a Switch version this year, and it is going to be another one of these legacy versions, which means the gameplay will be virtually similar to this, if not identical. Probably not going to have any new controls or any new modes. It hasn't got the Volta mode, the indoor or street football mode, but it will have new kits and new teams that update that a lot of people crave. So pay your money, you take your choice, really. If you're not fussed about teams, I'd recommend probably picking up FIFA 19 if you can still get hold of it physically. If you want the latest version, then probably wait for FIFA 21. But if you can pick up a cheap FIFA 20, then by all means do that. But it is the best game on the best football game on the Switch. Shame there is no doubt about it, really. So if you want the best experience, then FIFA 20 is the way forward. And with that, we'll come to the end of our list of football games on the Nintendo Switch. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. And subscribe if you're new here. It'd be really appreciated. Leave me a comment below if you agree with my choices, or if I've missed any out. I don't think I have. There's Behold the Kickmen, but I don't really judge that as a football game. It's actually an anti-football game, so I didn't include it on the list, even though I do own it. But yeah, let me know what you think about the list below. Love to hear from you. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.